what on the right that we have, I think, to get people to understand is there's a difference between selling and selling out. And so I wrote a piece about that. It is at freeradicalnetwork.com. And here's sort of what I started with. I was on a radio program. I was asked to go on the morning news in Houston, very big market. It was the news program. I was asked to speak because a state senator, Republican, had complained that a Hispanic person testifying in front of his committee spoke in Spanish with a translator present, and the guy had been in the country for 19 years. And he made a big deal out of this. And so the media called me, and they wanted to have me be on their morning program up against a state representative. Now, here I am, just a Tea Party leader of one group, and up against a state representative who was also a Latina woman. So the setup was in. I knew what they wanted. I knew what they were gonna try to get out of me, and I didn't give it to them. So when they talked about this, my first thought was, I've spent since I was 4 years old attempting to learn Spanish. You would never catch me speaking officially in Spanish in a testify situation. Well, that took the wind out of those sails. They went back to the representative. They asked her. She talked about, it was a political matter, and this was just being made for political points. I happened to agree with that. And then they came to me and they asked me another question about it, whether the Tea Party had a position on this. Okay, so am I just an outlier and the Tea Party really has a position? And I just basically said this is a complex issue. And in this talking point, soundbite culture, people want to make simplistic some very important complex issues. And we encourage people to be thoughtful. They didn't get what they wanted. It was a non-story. But the first thing that happened to me after I did it is I got accused of being sold out to La Raza, because the higher value there wasn't, to me, supporting this Republican state senator who made these comments and screaming English, learn English, get rid of all these illegals who are crapping up our country. That's where someone in the Tea Party wanted me to go with that. And I got accused of selling out over that. And I will tell you, that person still, 4 years later, attacks me on Facebook on a pretty regular basis because of that, in just general threads. My point was that the words that you use and the things that you say, if they're not necessarily the reddest of red meat, there's still a place and a time to use red meat, obviously. But when we're talking to people of different types, whether it's a women's group or a minority group or an age difference group, a younger group or an older group, you're going to use different languages, different words, choices with them, explain concepts in a different way based on where they're coming from. As a Tea Party leader, I never wanted politicians to come and speak at me. I wanted them to know that, or I wanted to know that they heard me and that they were able to understand what I was saying. It's the same thing anywhere in politics. If you're going in front of a group, if you're talking to a particular constituency, they want to know that you hear them. And so we might use terms a little differently with one group and another, and we might moderate the words. That's not moderating the principles. That's not saying that we're not talking about certain issues or that we're throwing them completely off the platform, that we should shut up about social issues or anything. Nobody thinks that. But it's that you need to focus on understanding the group that you're speaking to and understand that what sounds really good to the red meat crowd on the right is probably not going to be as persuasive to those people who've been left washed and that need a different sort of connection point with you. And so that was my whole point, is when we're talking to different people and we use different words or we use different terms or we phrase things a different way, it's not selling out. I'm tired of people calling it selling out. It's learning the marketing strategies. We talked about this before. Leslie was talking about different ads running on different channels and how they're going to be different. You don't market to ESPN the way you do to Lifetime. And that we need to be more understanding in the right when our leaders do that and not simply, I guess, scream at them when they're not going to places that don't respond to red meat and saying red meat things. So hopefully that sort of penetrates with people. That we have sales to do. It's not just about saying what you want to say. It's about selling to other people.
Absolutely. We are in the liberty and freedom and conservatism selling business. That's our job as activists, and as people who want to have more limited government, who want to change the way things are. It is up to us to go to these places, to go to these people, and package what we have to say in a way that they get, in their language, and that's on us. It's not devaluing our message. It's not muddying it. It's just going and bringing our message in the most relevant language to the people who we're talking to, and that's important. That's marketing 101, really. Talking about issues that are important to a constituency and fall into conservatism, that is not watering down your message. That is making your message more effective. It's being a better messenger, and it's doing more for the cause.
Well, and what's the alternative? I mean, what is the alternative? To simply leave these various demographics like young people as unreachable? I mean, what's the game plan there? Is the game plan to keep preaching to them as if they're the choir and thereby talk ourselves into smaller concentric circles? I thought we had to look. I can be a small concentric circle when I want to make my own choices in life. I don't need voters to agree with me when I go get a value meal at McDonald's. I get the one I want. I need voters to agree with me when I'm going to win elections. That means I have to go to them. I don't get it. I don't understand how some people see that as wrong.
It's my principles. You're talking to people who I don't like. I don't like how they have their rap music and their enjoying Beyonce and horrible movies by Judd Apatow. I don't like that. I don't approve. Therefore, I don't want to deal with them in my party. I don't know. It doesn't really make very much sense to me either.
Let's add it all up. So if we get free education, if we make 2 years of college education free, now you have to endure 2 more years of education just to reach the starting line. And even then, you'll have no advantage whatsoever because everybody has it. So let's do the math. 2 more years plus no advantage equals 2 years of your life lost.